When your best friend asks you to be his best man, you never think that 5 years later, he'll be the reason your own marriage falls apart. I met Annabelle at Hector's wedding. She was the bride's friend, a vibrant hairstylist from Pasadena who charmed everyone with her smile. Back then it seemed like fate brought us together. Me, a simple commercial fisherman who smelled of ocean and sun, and her, a creative soul who transformed people's hair into works of art. Hector was happier for us than anyone. His wife Martha constantly joked that now we'd spend every weekend together like one big family. And we really did. Backyard barbecues, trips to the coast, evenings playing board games. Hector was a private project architect, and I was proud that my friend had achieved such success. He designed villas for the wealthy and I caught fish for restaurants. We were so different, but it didn't drive us apart. The first 3 years of marriage were perfect. Annabelle opened her own salon. I expanded the business by purchasing a second boat. We lived in a cozy apartment with a city view, planning to buy a house someday. Kids. We postponed that question, both focused on our careers. Everything started changing a year ago. At first it was little things. Annabelle began looking at her phone more often during our evenings. When I asked, she'd say clients were texting, or she was checking new hairstyle trends. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Then came the late returns home. Wedding order, VIP client, inventory check at the salon. Each time a new reason, each time logical. But when your wife comes home at 11 p.m. for the third time in a week, something clicks in your head. Not suspicion yet, just concern. The worst part was that she became cold. Not physically, she still hugged me, kissed me goodbye. But her eyes looked through me as if I'd become transparent. As if she was with me in body, but her thoughts wandered somewhere far away. One evening, when I returned from the sea early due to a storm, I found her on the balcony. She was laughing into her phone, happier than I'd seen her in months. When she noticed me, the laughter instantly died. "It's Monica from the salon," she said. But I saw how her hands trembled when she hid the phone. I didn't want to be that man. The one who checks phones, who suspects, who doubts. But when you lie every night next to someone who silently scrolls through social media feeds, smiling at some messages, then quickly turns off the screen when you get up, what are you left with? I turned to Hector. My best friend, my brother, the person I trusted more than anyone else. We sat in his office, among models of future villas, and I told him everything. He listened attentively, nodded, looked concerned. "Jack, buddy, maybe you're exaggerating? Women have periods when they get fixated on work or social media. Martha does that sometimes too," he said, putting his hand on my shoulder. "Maybe you're right," I replied, though something inside me screamed that he was wrong. "Listen," Hector continued, "if you're that worried, I can, unobtrusively observe. Martha's often at Annabelle's salon. She can pay attention to whether everything's okay. Or I'll accidentally run into her myself, talk to her. As a family friend." I agreed. God, how stupid I was. I asked the wolf to guard the sheep. The next 2 weeks were hell. Annabelle became more and more distant. Once she even forgot our anniversary, 5 years together, and she simply forgot. When I reminded her in the evening, she slapped her forehead and started apologizing, but her eyes were empty. There was no guilt, no self-disappointment. Just mechanical words. Hector called me every few days. "Nothing suspicious, buddy. Martha says Annabelle's the same as always. Maybe you guys just need a break? Go somewhere together." But something wouldn't give me peace. A fisherman's intuition. When you know the fish is on the hook, even if you don't feel the strike yet. I decided to check differently. I had another friend, Mark, with whom we'd started the fishing business together. He was divorced, had gone through cheating, and unfortunately knew all the signs. When I told him the situation, he didn't try to calm me with empty words. "Jack, do you want to know the truth? The real truth? Then give me 2 days. I'll follow her, but I'm warning you, if I find something, there's no going back." I agreed. Mark proved more efficient than I expected. The very next day he called me and his voice was hard. "Meet me at the marina in an hour. What I have to show you, you'll want to see with your own eyes." When I arrived, Mark showed me a series of photos on his phone. Annabelle was entering a luxurious rental villa on the outskirts of Pasadena. But the worst part wasn't that. The worst part was who opened the door for her. Hector. My best friend. The person I trusted. The man I asked to help me figure out the situation. "There's more," Mark said, scrolling further. The photos were taken a few days later. They were leaving the villa together, Hector holding her waist. On her face was that same happy smile I'd seen that evening on the balcony. "How long has this been going on?" I asked, though my voice barely obeyed. I dug a bit deeper. "This villa is rented in the name of one of Hector's companies. The first payment went through 8 months ago. 8 months. More than half a year my life had been a lie. And not just a lie, a sophisticated, calculated lie involving two people I trusted most. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. Inside me reigned a cold fury that froze everything in its path. Mark, I need evidence. All the evidence you can gather. Photos, videos, dates, times. Everything. The next 3 weeks I played a role. Smiled at Annabelle, talked to Hector on the phone, even agreed to a joint weekend with him and Martha. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Sitting at the same table with someone who was sleeping with my wife and pretending everything was fine. But Mark worked. He tracked that they met twice a week. Always at the villa. Always at the same time, when I was supposed to be at sea. Hector even sometimes called me before their meetings, just to find out how things are going, buddy. This was worse than the cheating itself. It was sadistic. He enjoyed fooling me. Once Mark recorded them on video. They were walking to the villa, laughing, Hector whispering something in her ear. Annabelle turned to him, and the way she looked at him. She never looked at me like that. Never. Not even at the beginning of our relationship. That's when I understood the most terrible truth. She loved him. This wasn't a mistake, wasn't a moment of weakness. She truly fell in love with him. And me, she probably never truly loved me. When there was enough evidence, I met with a lawyer. Told him everything. Showed him photos, videos, records. The lawyer smiled the way a predator smiles when it sees prey. Mr. Jack, in California, though it's a no-fault divorce state, evidence of infidelity can significantly affect property division if we prove your wife used family funds for the affair. Even better, if we prove emotional harm. We started preparing. And that's when I realized I didn't just want a divorce. I wanted both of them to feel what I felt. Pain. Humiliation. Disappointment. The plan matured unexpectedly. Martha, Hector's wife, knew nothing. She was a good woman who sincerely believed they had a happy marriage. They had 2 children. And I realized I had to tell her. Not for revenge, but because she deserved to know the truth. I met her at a cafe. Showed her everything. Photos. Videos. Dates. At first she didn't believe it, laughed, said it was photoshopped. Then she saw that photo, where Hector was kissing Annabelle near the villa entrance. The smile disappeared from her face. How long? She asked. 8 months. Maybe more. Martha cried. Not loudly, quietly, and that was worse than any screams. Then she wiped her eyes and looked at me with a fury I didn't expect. What are you planning to do? Get divorced? Sue for property? But that's not enough. What do you mean? I told her my plan. At first she was shocked, then she smiled. Coldly. Harshly. I'm with you. Let's do it. We threw a party. A special party. Invited all mutual friends, Hector's colleagues, Annabelle's clients, our relatives. Said we were celebrating something special. Nobody knew what exactly, but everyone came, about 50 people. Annabelle was confused but pleased. She thought maybe I'd finally decided to stop being so boring, and arrange a surprise. Hector also came with Martha and the kids. He slapped me on the back. What are we celebrating, buddy? You'll find out soon. When everyone gathered, I went to the center of the living room and tapped a spoon against my glass. The music died down. Everyone turned to me. Thank you for coming, I began. I gathered you here today to share important news. You see, for the last 8 months my wife Annabelle has been spending time not just at the salon. Annabelle went pale. Hector tensed. She was building a relationship. A deep, meaningful relationship. With my best friend Hector. The silence was deafening. All eyes turned to Annabelle and Hector. Jack, what are you talking about? Hector tried to laugh, but his voice trembled. I took out a tablet and connected it to the large TV on the wall. The first photo appeared on the screen, Annabelle entering the villa. Then the next, Hector opening the door for her. Then video, them kissing. Someone gasped. Someone left the room. Annabelle's parents looked at their daughter with horror. Martha sat squeezing the sofa arms so hard her knuckles turned white. 8 months, I continued. 8 months they met at a villa Hector rented through his company. 8 months of lies. And the best part? Hector was the person I turned to for help when I noticed Annabelle acting strange. Annabelle cried. But not from shame, from rage. You have no right. This is our private life. Private? I laughed. You made a fool of me in front of our entire circle for 8 months. You came from his bed and fell asleep next to me. You invited him and his wife to our dinners, watched me laugh at his jokes, trust him. And he. I turned to Hector. You called me right before meeting my wife. To make sure I was far out at sea. Hector tried to say something, but Martha stood up. walked up to him and slapped him across the face. So hard the echo bounced off the walls. Pack your things. Today. A lawyer will contact you tomorrow. Then she took the children by the hands and left. Almost all the guests started leaving. Some approached me, squeezed my hand, whispered words of support. Annabelle's parents didn't even look at her. Just left, and in her mother's eyes I saw disappointment. Eventually only I, Annabelle, and Hector remained in the apartment. You destroyed me, Hector hissed. My career, my reputation. You destroyed yourself when you slept with your best friend's wife. He left, slamming the door. Annabelle stood in the middle of the living room, her face a mask of smeared mascara. I loved him, she whispered. I truly loved him. You never understood me, Jack. You were always busy with your boats, your fish. Hector saw me. The real me. Then why didn't you go to him earlier? Why did you keep lying? She was silent. Because it was convenient for you, I answered for her. Stable husband, stable income, stable life. And Hector was your passion, your adrenaline. You wanted both. That's not true. Pack your things. You have a week. The lawyer will send documents. The court process was brutal. Annabelle tried to fight, claimed I violated her privacy, that the evidence was obtained illegally. But Mark worked cleanly. All photos were taken in public places or from the street. Nothing illegal. Hector lost more than anyone. Martha filed for divorce and demanded full custody of the children. His business partners started breaking contracts. Turns out many of them were family men who didn't want to work with a man who cheated on his wife with his friend's wife. Several major projects folded due to ethical reasons. But the biggest blow came from an unexpected side. Hector's younger brother, Miguel, who worked at his company, called me a month after the party. Jack, I have to tell you something. I can't stay silent anymore. Hector planned this from the very beginning. What do you mean? Before I continue, please pause the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new interesting stories. Thank you. That wedding where you met Annabelle. It wasn't a coincidence. Hector saw her earlier at a party, got interested in her. But she rejected him because he was married. So he asked his wife Martha to introduce Annabelle to one of his friends. To you. The world turned upside down. He wanted me to marry her? He thought if she was in a stable relationship she'd become more accessible. He was playing. At first it was a game for him, a way to prove to himself he could get any woman. And then it seems he truly fell in love. I couldn't speak. 5 years of my life. My entire marriage was part of some sick plan. Why did you stay silent? I found out by accident. Found old correspondence on his laptop when I was looking for work files. At first I didn't believe it, thought I misunderstood. But then, after your party, everything came together. I'm ashamed, Jack. He's my brother, but what he did. I passed this information to my lawyer. He was able to find those same messages. Hector was careless enough to keep them in cloud storage. In them he discussed with some friend a plan to bring Annabelle and me closer to lower her defenses. This changed everything. The judges were shocked by the level of manipulation. Psychological evaluation confirmed emotional trauma. In the end I got almost everything, the apartment, the car, most of the savings. Annabelle was left with the minimum, and the court ruled she had to compensate me for part of the legal costs. But the greatest revenge came on its own. Annabelle and Hector really did stay together. He moved in with her after the divorce from Martha. But life wasn't a fairy tale. His career fell, money became scarcer. Annabelle's salon started losing clients. Turns out many didn't want to trust their appearance to a woman who destroyed someone else's family. Mark told me he saw them a year later. They were arguing near a supermarket. Hector was yelling something about money, Annabelle was crying. That spark, that passion I'd seen in the photos, all gone. What remained were two people bound not by love, but by guilt and the ruins they'd created themselves. I didn't feel satisfaction from their suffering. Honestly, I felt emptiness. The realization that 5 years of my life were built on lies, that the person I considered a brother was actually a manipulator, and the woman I loved never loved me. Martha became my unexpected friend. We sometimes met for coffee, shared pain, supported each other. She recovered beautifully, found a new job, the kids started seeing a psychologist. Once she told me, "You know what's strangest? I don't miss him. Who he became. I miss who he was. Or who I thought he was." I understood her. We were both mourning not real people but illusions we'd created in our heads. 2 years passed. I sold the apartment, too many memories. Bought a small house by the ocean. Expanded the business, hired 2 more people. Life went on. Once I ran into Annabelle on the street. She looked tired, aged. We stopped, looked at each other. "How are you?" she asked. "Better," I answered honestly. I'm sorry, Jack. For everything." I nodded. Not because I forgave, but because I understood her apology wouldn't change anything. It wouldn't return those years to me. Wouldn't heal the wounds. These were just words. "How's Hector?" She smiled sadly. "We split up 3 months ago. Turns out when the drama, the secrecy, the adrenaline disappear, when all that's left are bills, household problems, and reality, turns out the love wasn't enough." I didn't know what to say. "You were a good husband, Jack. I wasn't the right person for you. And you weren't right for me. But you didn't deserve what we did." "No, I didn't." We said goodbye. I watched her walk away and realized I felt nothing. No anger, no pain, not even satisfaction from her suffering. Just emptiness that was slowly filling with something new. Hope, perhaps. Martha introduced me to her friend Sarah a few months later. We started dating. Slowly, carefully, both traumatized by the past. But it was different. Honest. Open. No games, no lies. Hector tried to contact me a year after the scandal. Wrote a long letter asking for forgiveness, trying to explain. I read it once and deleted it. Some bridges, when you burn them, aren't worth rebuilding. His business never recovered. Heard from Miguel he moved to another state, trying to start over. Maybe he'll succeed. Maybe not. I didn't care. Life taught me that the best revenge isn't destroying another person. It's building your own happiness on the ruins of what they tried to destroy. It's the ability to wake up in the morning and not think about them, not feel pain from their names. I didn't forgive. Never will. But I let go. Because holding on to that hatred, that pain, would mean allowing them to continue controlling my life. And they'd already taken enough years. Now I stand on the deck of my boat, watching the sunrise over the Pacific Ocean, and for the first time in a long time I feel peace. Real peace. Sarah's sleeping at home and I know she's there, honest, open, real. The story of Annabelle and Hector became a warning in our circle. About how easy it is to destroy trust, how hard to restore reputation, and how love built on betrayal is doomed to burn. And me? I just live. Catch fish, build a new house, plan the future with Sarah. Without revenge, without hatred. Just living, and that's probably the best revenge of all. But the story had one more twist that I only learned about recently. 3 years passed after that scandal. I was sitting in my favorite bar near the marina when a man approached me. He was about 60, gray hair, tired eyes. "Jack?" he asked. "Yes. And you?" "My name is Robert. I'm Hector's father." My heart stopped for a moment. I hadn't seen this man since that day at the party when everything was revealed. Back then he quickly left without saying a word. "May I sit?" I nodded. He ordered whiskey, stared into the glass for a long time before speaking. "I didn't come to apologize for my son. He's a grown man, he made his choice. I came to tell you something you might need to know." "I'm listening." "Hector, he was always like this. Since childhood. If something belonged to someone else, he wanted to take it. Not because he really needed it, but because it was a challenge. Brother's toys, neighbor's girlfriend, even a colleague's job. He constantly tried to prove he could get anything he wanted." Robert took a sip of whiskey. "His mother, my wife, tried to fix it. Took him to psychologists, talked to him. But he was a smart boy, learned to hide it. Say the right things, look normal. But inside he remained the same." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're not the only one. Before you there was Alex, his friend from college years. Hector seduced his fiancée 2 months before the wedding. Alex found out, but Hector twisted everything so everyone decided Alex was paranoid. He lost the fiancée, of course. She went to Hector. They lasted 3 months, then she got bored." Robert looked me in the eyes. "After that was Thomas. Hector destroyed his business partnership by stealing a key client. Then Mark, yes, the same one who helped you. Hector slept with his sister, destroying her marriage. That's why Mark agreed to help you so quickly? He knew what my son was capable of." I sat stunned. Mark never mentioned this. Then why did she marry him? Martha? Martha didn't know. He was the perfect groom for her, charming, successful, attentive. Besides, Martha was from a good, conservative family. She believed in the better side of people. Believed that love would change everything. But he had children with her. He loved them. Robert smiled sadly. He loves them in his own way. But even his own children are tools to him. Ways to look normal, respectable. When Martha left and took them, he didn't fight. Not because he didn't want them, but because he understood a custody battle would damage his reputation even more. Then why did you tolerate all this? Why didn't you stop him? Robert's eyes filled with tears. Because I'm a coward. Because I was afraid to admit my son is a sociopath. That all those years of therapy, all the talks, all the love, changed nothing. He is who he is. And I just closed my eyes and hoped that someday he'd change. He pulled an envelope from his pocket. These are letters. Old letters from those people he hurt. From Alex, from Thomas, from others. I kept them, don't know why. Maybe as proof of my own weakness. Maybe they'll help you understand that what happened to you isn't your fault. It's not because you were a bad husband or friend. It's because my son is sick. I took the envelope, heavy with papers. Where is he now? In Phoenix. Trying to start over. New company, new partners. People who don't know his past. And a new victim? Robert was silent, which was answer enough. Why did you really come, Robert? The old man looked at me long and hard. Because my wife died a month ago. Cancer. Before she died, she asked me to promise I'd do at least something to fix the pain our son caused. I can't stop him, Jack. He's an adult, he makes his own choices. But I can at least apologize on behalf of his parents. We didn't raise him well. We failed. I didn't know what to say. This old man carried the burden of guilt for his son's sins, and it was unfair. But at the same time I understood his pain. Robert, you're not responsible for his choices. You did what you could. Not enough. We didn't do enough. He stood up, put money on the counter for both drinks. Be happy, Jack. You seem like a good person. Don't let what my son did ruin your life. He left, leaving me with the envelope in my hands. That evening I read all the letters. The stories were similar: trust, betrayal, destruction. Hector was a master at finding people's weak spots and using them. But what struck me most was the last letter. From Alex himself, written 10 years ago. There was one paragraph I reread again and again. The worst part isn't that he took Jennifer from me. The worst part is that he made me doubt my own judgment. If I didn't see my best friend's true face, if I didn't notice the betrayal of the woman I loved, then how can I trust my feelings again? He didn't just destroy my relationship. He destroyed my ability to build new ones. That's what Hector did to his victims. He didn't just betray, he undermined their faith in their own ability to understand people, trust, love. That was the moment when I realized, there's no going back. I understood what I had to do. The next day I gathered Mark, Martha, Miguel and several other people Hector had affected. Showed them the letters. Told them about the conversation with Robert. And proposed an idea. We can't stop him physically. Can't punish him legally, he's too careful. But we can warn others. We created a private website. Nothing public, nothing that could be slander. Just a closed resource, access granted only after verification. There we collected documented stories, facts, evidence. Not for revenge, for prevention. When someone from Phoenix business circles started working with Hector, when some woman started dating him, if they were careful enough to check his past, they found this resource. And had the opportunity to make informed decisions. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't full justice. But it was something. 6 months later Miguel reported that one of Hector's big projects fell through. An investor pulled out at the last minute. A year later, another one. His reputation in Phoenix started cracking at the seams, just like in Pasadena. I didn't rejoice at this. Honestly. I just felt that finally the cosmos was restoring balance. That a person who manipulated others for years was finally feeling the consequences of his actions. I saw Annabelle for the last time a year ago. She moved to San Diego, found work at a small salon. Looked different, more modest, quieter. Sarah's friend, who accidentally became her client, said Annabelle goes to a psychotherapist, trying to figure herself out. She said something strange, the friend told me. That the worst part of all this wasn't losing you. But that she lost herself. That she stopped understanding where the real her ends and the one Hector wanted to see begins. Maybe for Annabelle this was also a lesson. Hard, painful, but necessary. I married Sarah last year. Small ceremony, only closest friends and family. Martha was maid of honor. Our paths intertwined so that we became real family, born not from blood but from shared pain and healing. At the wedding someone asked me if I regretted those 5 years with Annabelle. I thought for a long time before answering. I thought it couldn't get worse, but no. Those years taught me to distinguish illusion from reality. Showed me how strong I can be. Led me to people I truly love now. If not for that pain, I wouldn't know what real happiness looks like. And that was the truth. Life with Sarah was different. Not as turbulent, not as unpredictable. But it was real. Every "I love you" meant exactly that. Every promise was kept. Every day we built trust, not destroyed it. Hector and Annabelle became for me not pain, but a story. A story about how people can lose themselves searching for something illusory. About how manipulation can seem like love until reality slaps you in the face. And most importantly, a story about how you can survive after betrayal. You can rebuild. You can believe again, love again, trust again. Sometimes I go out to the ocean shore in the morning, watch the waves and think about how many lives Hector destroyed. But then I return home where Sarah waits for me with coffee and a smile, and I understand he didn't destroy my life. He just helped me find the right one. And then, even worse, what happened after that is worth hearing. And the finale of this story surprised even me. This was the calmest day before the storm. My reaction shocked even her friends. After this moment her life was never the same. You won't guess how it all ends. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. The screen now displays a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.